it's not whether you are knocked down, it's whether you get up. These famous words or quote define our guest today at Family Times, Hope Channel, Kenya. Faith Ann is the lady we are talking about today. And in a special way, I'd want to introduce you and just say hi to our viewer out there.
Hi.
You may think she's a lady of few words, but just wait for it. And of course, we have Richard and Tabby sitting next to each other. Just say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, viewer.
And next to me here is my lady, Linda.
Hi, viewer. Welcome.
Now, we are talking about determination and the strength to carry on despite life's challenges. And as I've said, that defines our guest today. Faith Ann, tell us about yourself, your social life, and any other life that you'd want our viewer to know.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Faith Ann. I'm married. I have 2 children. And I'm married to a pastor, Pastor Eric Were. And we've been married for how many years? From 2011. Yeah. And I really thank God for my life because I was born a premature. I don't know, it was 6 or 7 months. Stayed in incubator for some time. And I survived.
I was taught that the way to progress is neither swift nor slow, nor easy, but again it is progress. You have to move. Tell us more about this condition that you are born with.
Yeah, I was just like a normal child, but was weak. Then I had this persistent headache. As early as I was able to know my name, I knew I was having headache most often, and it was a normal thing to me and even to my family. I remember there was a time I was really sick. That is a headache, and my mom would just tell people, even in school, when I was in a day school, and when they brought me back home, they would just say, just leave her there. I know I will take her to hospital, because she knew I will go to hospital, get well 2-3 days. Like in my school, in my primary, I say I would go to school 1 month, then be absent 2 weeks. That was me. And I never gave up. I could not even cry. If I cry for long, I would have that headache.
Wow.
Yeah.
The word that I pick up there, never give up. But come to think of it, what are some of the symptoms of malaria?
Joints. Yeah, your joints.
There's one out, there's the headache. And having mentioned that, you know, Faith says that she got used to the headache.
Right.
To me, that sounds like
Just soldier on.
not even soldiering on. That to me sounds like it's I don't know how to explain it, because headache is a sign of something. But in this instant, headaches are part of her. How old were you when you started experiencing? I mean, okay, you've said that this was
As early as I knew my name.
As early as you knew your name.
Yes.
Wow.
And it was like my mom would tell me in Kiswahili, kwa nini wewe unashinda tu unagonjeka? Like in my family, everybody knew that Faith would get sick. In a month, Faith would have to get sick.
And it is just the headache.
Yeah, and I would go to the hospital, and they would diagnose either malaria or typhoid. I would be given medicine, and I would get better. I would be sick in 2 days. The 3rd day I'm better. I would stay home 2 days. Then the next day I would want to go to school. And that was me. So it went on, it went on. I could not even do hard activities like running. And I enjoyed games. So I joined the cheer squad, the cheering squad.
Cheering squad.
Yeah. I would make noise there, run a little bit. And I remember as a child, I had a lot of toys. I had a ball, I had a doll, I had Iyo Kamba. I think I was owning all the toys. and I didn't know how to play well because of my condition. But then I would try to be on the winner's side. If my team loses, then I would pick my things and go. That is the end of that game. So I really, in as much as I was brought up in a single family, my mom was alone, they separated. But my mom didn't give up in me. And being a premature, I didn't really know until I finished I think I finished secondary. Is when my sister told me that I was a premature, and when I was born, almost all the children died in the nursery, and I was the only one who remained. And then she told me, my mom, everybody was low, that maybe she won't make it, and I was so thin, you know. So when I came out of the nursery, and then they just said, this baby will survive, and that's how I survived. And then there was this pastor who came to visit us. I think I was in class 4 or 5. And then my mom was really happy to meet this pastor. And then I was wondering, why is she that happy?
Yes.
Then the pastor was telling her, you know, it is your faith that has saved this girl. And then I didn't know why. And you know, my mom was very harsh. You could not ask her some silly questions. So I just kept quiet. So it's when my sister told me that, you know, you are a premature and many children died. And that's why you were named Faith.
Oh.
Yeah.
And how did you take that?
It gave me more strength. Yeah. Because I said, if I survived, if the children were dying and I survived, then God must have a very big plan for me.
Indeed.
It gave me another strength of faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, Dave, I'm wondering, I have headache, and just mild headache, and I'm always complaining. Like, of course, I'm never quick to take medication, but when it worsens, I take medication. So I'm thinking she has been sick ever since. You can imagine the pain that she has been going through. Yeah, so... And
of course the medication, because you know when you complain of headache,
yes,
the quickest way is just to try and find something to ease that headache.
exactly.
Yeah.
Not knowing that there is something else that is developing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even the medication that she has been taking, you can imagine all the chemicals that she has been putting in her body. Yeah.
At some point, did you reject the drugs, or you were used to it? Or?
No, I was used to it, and you see the way you go to hospital and they tell you it's malaria, and you know it's just 3 days. I would just check, but then the headache, it would be like 1-2 days, but the severe one would just be 1 day, and then the following day it's just not that much. Yeah. So even me, I believed it's malaria, and then I said, no, maybe my blood is weak, something like that. But then sometimes then I also developed asthma. So it was during cold, I would have asthmatic attack. Then the malaria also would come. But then I just knew that was me. I just accepted. So at class 4, another doctor told my mom that it is my eyes have problem and I need to use glasses, and I didn't want. So I would just tell my mom, no, I'm okay. No, I'm okay. So when I reached Form 2, now I could not even read. I could look at the book and the book would be full of tears. So I started using the spectacles at Form 2. And it improved a bit, but then the headache would be there. If it comes, it is severe. So I just went on like that. Then there's this time we met with Pastor. Then I think the first thing I told him that I always get sick. So you need to really prepare.
I wanted to really follow.
Then he said, no, I don't have any problem.
Just hold on. Let
me say something.
And then Richard.
I think from her story, we can see that she accepted at an early age that she's sick, and she now knew how to treat herself.
Probably, yes.
I think that has made her...
Maybe not. Maybe yes, because I think... I'm not sure if you have any sibling born after you.
No.
No, you're the last one.
one.
That's
When
like
you mentioned that
us.
you had all the things you needed, the toys and everything like that, just generally guess you could have been the last one.
Yeah.
And of course, as you have mentioned to us, you had this condition. And probably at that level, you hadn't really known what it was.
Exactly.
And you were growing up with it.
Yeah, I grew up knowing that it's just
Headache.
malaria.
It's just malaria.
Yeah, it's just malaria or it's typhoid. I
And
remember
I'm sure
when
you kept on wondering why
I
is this
kept on
malaria
wondering,
keep coming
why
to
is
me?
it me?
Recurring and recurring.
Because sometimes it would be in the house, me, my sister, then even my nephews,
Yeah.
but
But
it is
it's you.
only me.
It's you.
The
Yeah,
malaria.
it's only
The
me who
malaria.
would get sick, and everybody knew if
And
I'm
maybe-
sick. And even when it rains, then my sister would just call me maybe around noon, and I would talk, and she tell me, I knew you were sick.
So you
Yeah,
were the
because
sick
now
one.
it rained, I knew I would get an asthmatic attack. So I knew that was me, and I really accepted it. And actually, I didn't suspect that it can be something else
Different.
apart from
Malaria.
Of course,
malaria.
this makes us, every time think about diagnosis. Because you come across very many people who have suffered some condition,
Situation, yeah.
but then they can't know
Putting
it.
the right
They
thing,
wouldn't
the
know
wrong
it until
thing.
it's late, or rather much, much later in their lifetime.
Maybe
And they
Faith
came
can,
to know.
maybe Faith can tell us now when exactly did she find out?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
It was not malaria.
I was having this headache. Now, people were telling me, now, when you give birth, you won't get much sick. After you get your first baby, maybe you will now
Be okay.
outgrow the headache. and
How is that? How is that related?
And,
What a way.
I remember when I was pregnant, I was really happy, and
You
I
knew that it
knew
was good.
The headache will be
the
going
headache will
soon.
go.
Oh, no.
So when I gave birth
Yes.
to my first girl, I think the baby was less than, I think she was just 1 month or so. The headache came.
Express the end.
Headache
Yeah,
came.
the headache came, and I remember I was having visitors, many visitors, around 30, and the headache came. So, and it was on a Sabbath.
No.
Yes, on a Sabbath, and my husband was supposed to go and preach to a new church, not his church, and I was having guests, which I was supposed to go with. Yeah, so, and the baby is here. I cannot go to the hospital without the baby. And by then we didn't have a car, so he just prepared and tell me, let's go to the hospital. And we didn't have actually cash, so we went to public hospital. So we went to district hospital. Then when we reached there, we didn't know anybody. Thus we had to queue. So we queued, they took everything, the pressure was okay. Everything was okay. And there was no malaria.
This time you're already a nurse.
Yes.
You probably know what you're expecting.
Yeah, and actually what really inspired me to be a nurse is this headache. Because sometimes when I was like class 7, 8, now my mom would just tell me, you are sick, go to hospital. Yes, you are a big girl. Now that really pained me because I was thinking like, I feel like I'm still a baby, you know. And then she was telling me, no, you just go to the hospital. If you are sick, go to hospital. If you are not sick, then get up and do your chores.
Before I lose it, before I lose this thought, this thing that is in my mind now, when Pastor took you to the hospital, was that his first experience with your headache?
No,
No, it
that was
wasn't.
not the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There were some more headaches. Immediately we got married.
Yes.
We went for our honeymoon for 2 weeks. Then when we came back, we were staying in a very cold place, Koro.
Yes.
And I think it was just first and the second night. The third night I was sick
Oh.
With
Yeah.
malaria.
with malaria. It was asthmatic attack and fever. And I remember I was even there, then that cleared. Then another time, in a span of 1 week, they came again. So we went to hospital, and the members were very happy. This lady is pregnant, you know. So when we went, and they found typhoid and the asthmatic attack. So that is what was treated. And then I got well. In 2-3 days, I was discharged. But then the headaches kept on coming, but he was prepared because that was the first thing I told him. And he said, I don't have any problem with that. I think he was imagining it was just something maybe once in a while. Yeah.
So, Faith, tell us about the diagnosis of this headache. What did the doctor say?
Yeah, I think when I was around, I think 2017 is when I really knew what I was suffering from. About more than 30 years, they've been treating malaria in boats. And I was in India. I went there for my baby, and then immediately my baby finished her treatment. Then I just say, let me see a doctor and explain to the doctor really what I'm suffering from. So when I told the doctor, then she asked me, how many children do you have? I said 2. Do you have any condition, any brain condition, brain surgery in family? Then I said, yes, my baby has been operated. She has a brain tumor and that. Then she just stopped and told me, you have to do an MRI, and I need to see it as soon as possible. So I did the MRI, and I was very optimistic. I was just saying, no, they won't get anything. Like, I could not imagine I would have problem with my brain because I went to a normal school. Yeah. So when the results came, that was, I did it the first day, then the next day I would go for the results. So when I went for the results, I just sat down and read and say, now what next? It was diagnosed. I had a very big cyst, like 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters and 10 centimeters. So I was just looking at that 10 centimeters and wondering, now where is my brain?
Where is your brain? Yeah.
Okay, now, for the sake of our viewer and for the sake of us, you're talking about a cyst and then a tumor. What is the difference between a cyst and a tumor?
Yeah, a tumor is like has some muscles, and a cyst for the brain, it is just a sac, and inside that sac there is water.
Which can be surgically removed.
Yes, which can be removed.
Now tell us about that.
And for me, the cyst, the membrane that was covering this water is the normal membrane for my brain. So there was no way it could be removed. So the doctors told me that they would do either 2 things. They would puncture the ventricles, or they would put a shunt. So now this ventricle was a new thing to me. A shunt was not common to me because my baby had been given a shunt.
What is a shunt?
A shunt is they put a tube to the brain to drain the fluid from the brain either to the lungs or to the stomach. Yeah.
I'm wondering, Dave, she's telling us that she was in India. Was Pastor there? Was the husband there? And if Pastor was not there, how did she break the news to, you know?
How did you manage this?
Yeah, he was not around when I did the MRI, but he was planning to join me. So I didn't wait for him to join. I just read and sent. Then he told me,
what is this?
Is this for you or for Igdalia? So I told him, it's mine. And he said, now, what is that?
Yeah, true. Because it's terms that we can't understand.
Yeah, so I told him, there's a cyst and it is in the brain. So I just told him, I'll let you know what the doctor said. So I told him. So when I told him, the doctors were suggesting a shunt or puncturing the ventricles, he had planned to come, so he came. Yeah. So when he came, we decided we would go for the shunt. Yeah.
So just in Richard, you want to say something? But I would say just in brief, what was the next move after this?
So the next move, I was not scared because my baby was put for a shunt, and she stayed in hospital for 3 days and she was discharged. In the next 2 weeks, we were back home. So I was very happy and optimistic, and I knew there was nothing else now. I was happy because now my condition had been known, and I knew now the headaches will never be there. And I was really very happy, and I was looking forward to the surgery. And actually, I booked for my surgery, and I was just telling the doctor, what I was scared with is that I was just asking the doctor, which was not true, but then that is what I told the doctor, I want to get pregnant. Is this shunt going to interfere with my pregnancy? Then they were just looking at me. She has a sick child and she still wants to get pregnant. So they told me, no, it won't.
Okay.
So I went for that.
Just hold on that thought. We are going to talk about surgery and more that you went through after this short break. But what we must what I learned from your story is that there is hope.
Oh, sure.
And her name is Faith.
There
Faith
is
is
hope.
the victory.
Let's take a break. We are coming back shortly. Faith is the victory. Our guest is Faith, and she has hope. And this is Hope Channel Kenya. Now, we were talking about surgeries. Tell us more about this. And as you talk about surgery, we would also want to bring in your husband, Pastor Eric Were, into this. You just sent him a text. He was in Kenya and you were in India. How did this come into play?
Yeah, I know it was difficult for him,
Yeah.
being that he's not a medic one. And now that he was already having a sick child who had been done for brain surgery and complicated. So I think it was not something light for him. He must have been asked God a lot of questions.
Naturally.
Yeah, but for me, I think it was the best thing to tell him, because maybe I would have kept him in the dark and breaking it to him while he had traveled to India to just see her child and discovering that her wife is also sick. So I decided to tell him in prayer, yeah, just to prepare him that he's coming, but there are more challenges.
Yes, for the moment.
Let me ask, do you think that maybe pastors have greater faith? Do you think that the husband was not shaken, or
Is it?
In what sense, really? Well, as a man of God, a pastor, you'd want to think that, yes, that's where there is all the faith you can imagine. But pastor is human.
They also cry.
Yeah, and therefore, breaking the news would not be an easy thing to him. More especially, as you mentioned, that he had a daughter who was unwell. And the reason for his wife to travel to India was because of the child.
Yes.
But here again, he gets news, which is really new, that is his wife also, who was another problem.
Right,
My question, Faith, would be, when you got to know about this cyst, and the agreement was there that it can be done whichever way you chose, you immediately thought about the child. I mean, in the sense that, could you get pregnant?
Yeah.
And you had a child who is unwell at that moment.
Yes.
Why did you go there? Because
how did you break that to your mother now?
Yeah.
Let her answer that first.
I think I'm just positive.
oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I knew my child was sick. My Italia, she was my first child actually, and I think I gave her my best. In spite of I was sick and I was sickling, and I would try to do my best to her. And when she got sick, I didn't give up. I just told God to give me the strength.
Yes.
So I knew, even if the baby was going through a lot, I knew she would not die.
You could still manage a second
because
one.
that was an agreement I made with God. I told God, my child is sick, but nobody is dying in my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Faith, I'm just curious. Sorry, Richard. I'm just curious. I'm trying to understand the emotional bit of this. Pastors had to travel. Pastor Were had to travel to India to be with the family. He is there. Okay, this may sound stupid, but when he came, did you guys pray? I mean, help
What
us
was the
understand
reaction?
this.
The reaction
What
first.
was the reaction to this?
We just prayed like we normally pray, and for me, I was happy. A solution has been found, a diagnosis has been made. So for me, it was actually a step ahead.
Relief.
It was a relief actually.
Yes.
I really knew that this time now I'm going to get better.
Oh, yeah.
And I will not have those headaches. And now even getting pregnant would be more easy. Taking care of this child who I was planning for would be even more easy. Yeah.
Well now, yes, Richard.
I want to bring Faith a little back. Faith, the pastor was okay. From what you were talking about, Pastor Were was strong enough, I believe, because you'd ask you such kind of question, then you go on. But back down here in Kenya,
The mom.
What is your family? How was your family
sister.
and his family? And
How did they receive the news?
Yeah,
How was
it was not easy on them. They were just crying. I was talking to them on phone and everybody was just crying.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I remember the time I broke the news to my mom, some friends had gone to visit my mom. My younger child was staying with my mom then now. So they went to visit that young girl. So I said, this is the best chance because my mom is staying alone. So
that
I
you don't
said,
break
this
the
is the
news when
best
she's
chance
alone.
to tell my mom
Yes,
that
yes.
actually I'm sick.
Yeah.
So that even when she cries,
she
There's
has support.
people
she has
surrounding
support.
her.
Yes, yes.
So my sister also was there. So I told them and everybody was in tears. Yeah, we had to disconnect for some time then to talk again. It was not actually easy on them.
I can imagine. I can imagine that. But even before you went to India, what was their reaction? I mean, you are a young woman. You are married to
remember, she is
yes.
accompanying a sick child.
A sick
to
child.
India.
What was the family feeling even before you went there to be diagnosed with your real problem now? Back here, what is the support? How are they treating you? A young lady, married, you have a problem with a child. You know, in some instances, it can be very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been very supportive.
Yes.
Yeah, they've been very supporting. They will always tell me, don't worry, we are
Yes.
praying for you. We are
Yes.
praying for the baby. Everything will be fine.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, my family has been very supportive.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Now, Faith, here you are. What happened?
Yeah, so I booked my surgery. I remember it was November. It was 2017,
You mentioned, yeah.
January. Yeah, actually I was to do the surgery in December because my husband came in December, but the president of this country was in India. So I told my husband, I have to see the president and I have to shake his hand. So I pushed it to January.
Yes.
So when I went for the surgery, I was very happy. I went and
Sign.
got admitted,
Yes.
signed the consent, and the next day I was ready. They did the marks, and then I was ready. So I went for the surgery. When I woke up, now I could not even sit. So I was telling the doctor, now, did you really help me? Because now it was worse. I could not sit. If I turn my head, I would hear, like when you have a jerrycan of water and you pour it out. There's that sound. Yeah. That is the sound I would hear in my head. So I told the doctor, then he said, no, you know, you've stayed with this thing since you were born.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you will just get used to it.
All this time you're alone post-surgery?
No, I was with my husband.
Okay.
My husband was there. And there was another friend of ours who came to assist. So the friend was with my baby and my husband was with me. So I got there 3 days, then 1 week, 5 days I got discharged. So I remember I was discharged on a Friday. Then on Saturday, I insisted I'm going to church. And it was not close distance. It was a bit far. So my husband was, will you really manage? I said, yes, I will manage. So I carried my pillow to church. That distance was 2 times long. It was too long. I could not, I would tell the speed would be very low and still I would feel very uneasy.
So that was a challenge because our next step would be the challenges that you went through.
Yeah.
One of them is, as you're explaining, the traveling.
Yeah, it was not easy. Traveling was not easy. I could not even do anything. I would stand and the clue would be there. Then I would go back to bed. I would not sleep. The headache was just there. I would take the medicine and it was not easy. It was not disappearing. So I went back to the doctor. So the doctor told me, let's do a CT scan and see. So when they did a CT scan, my brain was empty. There was no fluid.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was all drained out.
Yeah, it was all drained out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So they said, no, this is an emergency. You're going back for another surgery.
Another surgery.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was
What
like,
that is.
which type of shunt did you put?
Yeah.
No, just before you tell us about this surgery, this is the second surgery that
Yeah.
you're just about to go for. and you're in India, and I'm just imagining, and probably our viewer out there is just imagining, how much, what was the cost? I mean, was there a financial strain even as this is going on? Remember, you went to India because of the baby. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of challenges about the issue of money because my baby was taken to India under an insurance, and the insurance was paying almost everything. So when I told about my case, they agreed to pay, but then we had to wait. Yeah, so there was that waiting bit of it. Yeah, so we had to wait. So when I complicated, they had to write a letter. Yeah, because now it was an emergency. They could not wait for the normal process of approval and the rest. So it was treated as an emergency, and that was it.
And what was your lowest moment during all this time? Did you have a low moment? You sound very positive.
Yes, I've been having very low moments. Like when I went for that surgery, they said the shunt that they had put could not be controlled from outside. So they had to remove that one, same spot, and put in the programmable one that can be programmed from outside. So they put that one. So I went back to the hotel, and then the headache was still there. So I was wondering, I was telling God, now what is this?
It's a new thing, what?
Because initially I would go to school, I would take care of my baby. I mean, I was normal. Now, if this thing was not going to help me, God, you could have told me. Yeah, so that was my lowest moment. Then I stayed in the next 7 days. The headache was not disappearing. I remember it was on a Sunday. It was now too much. Then I just told my husband, we are going to hospital now. Then he said, today they're not today. Yeah, today is a holiday. Yeah. For India, Sunday is a holiday.
Just on that holiday, during this low moment, what kept you going? Is there
music? Wow. Music. I like listening to gospel music. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's this song in Kijaluo, Tim na maber, Yeso Tim na kendo. Yeah. I would listen to that a lot. And I would just be in pain, and I would just tell my husband, put that music. It would end, then I say, put it again. So that was my music. So I was just wondering, now what is this? So that Sunday, we went to hospital. So we were going through, there was no OPD. So we were going through emergency. So we went. Immediately, I sat on that bed. It was like it was ignited. Yeah, the pain became so much. I could not talk. I was just crying. And remember, you go to that bed and they send your attendant away.
At that point that you were crying and you say they send the attendant away, what was the reaction of your husband?
He just went away. He was confused. I mean, he didn't know what to do. So he was sent away. He just went and sat outside.
And family back at home?
I just called one nurse and told him, go outside and call the black man. The black man is outside. Go and call him. So he went and called him. So when he came, I just told his hand.
I'm amazed how she will still find a humor in that.
You held his hand?
Yeah, so I held his hand and I told him, hey, this is too much for me. Yeah. I was just crying. I was just telling God, God, today you've forgotten me. And that is what I was crying. I was just crying, God, today you mean you've forgotten me. Just remember me again. Today you have forgotten me. And then my husband was telling me, no, don't cry like that. Don't blame God. I was telling him, no, I'm not blaming God. I think God is leaving me. This time he's leaving me.
So are you saying at that...
I know the point that your husband was emphasizing also was he was giving you support at that time. You needed it. You really needed it. When he came in, and
so when he came in, I was just holding his hand. So we went to hospital around 10. So it was around 3, and the headache was... immediately they gave me the antidote for the pain. It was just worsening. And the headache was too much. So I was just crying. So they told my husband that, no, this has to be managed now in wards. Now we are admitting her. So he just said, okay. So when we were being wheeled to the wards, I don't know what happened, but I don't remember. I would be awake 1 minute, I would not be awake. So I really can't remember. But immediately we reached the wards, I don't remember anything. I only remember that it was on a Sunday and I woke up on a Tuesday. And I was in ICU. They had shaved my hair. And I just felt that breeze on my hair when I woke up. And my husband is the one who woke me up. So when I just looked at him, his eyes were very red. I said, this man has been crying. So I just asked him, what is the time? It was around lunchtime. Then he just told me, you'll be fine. Then I just say, yes, I will be fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what, Dave? I realize that pastors also go through so much,
Sure.
yet we don't even give them any kind of support.
Yeah, they are
Many
human
times,
beings.
many times when you're sick, headache, hey, pastor, pray for me or pray with me. Or you're having fun.
For surgery.
Yes, but do we even take our time to even call them? They don't even have to go through anything. Just calling them to let them know, you know what, we're thinking about you and praying with you. Yeah.
Now, Faith, your story is just amazing, but time is just too short. Kindly tell us your highest moment and your word out there. What would you tell our viewer out there in summary?
I would just like to encourage someone outside there who is struggling maybe with a condition or maybe finances or even a disease, that we should trust God no matter what happens, no matter what happens. Because sometimes God will make you so down, then he will lift you up. So you just trust God, choose a song for yourself, read your Bible, and just keep on trusting God. Even when you think now, I'm just trusting God, but I don't think God is doing something. And God is someone who will give you whatever you want. Yeah. Because I asked God to take care of my baby, and my baby is still alive.
Amen.
So I really, sometimes I talk to God as a friend.
Yeah.
I just talk to God as a friend. I just tell him, no, now this one is too much. You have to do something.
Yeah, it comes to that place
Yeah.
sometimes where you
Thank you
address
so
God
much.
like a personal friend. Yes. Well, Dave, I think that we can learn a lot from this. And I believe you are out there, you can also pick a lot of strength from what our sister is telling us. Many times we give up too soon. And sometimes we want to rely on our own strength. More than that, in the situation of Faith, she probably would have relied more on pastor's faith than her own, you know. But even in that situation, she still trusted in God. And she's here to testify that God has done good for her.
Amen.
Yeah.
Tabby?
I'm amazed. This is a woman of faith. Considering what her husband is doing, a pastor. Many times, even when your husband is a pastor or even your wife, we want to rely on the faith of our spouses. But thank you so much, because that's really a powerful testimony that you have shared with us. God continue to bless you.
Thank you, Faith, for sharing with us your story. And you know that God is going to use you in a very mighty way. You are an ambassador in the house, and God is going to give you strength to overcome.
Amen.
Everyone out there, God is still there, and he's in the business of healing you. Don't give up.
Let me also join the Family Times crew to say thank you so much for your story. Indeed, great is God's faithfulness, because morning by morning, new mercies we see. What more can we need, or what more can we ask from God but to trust and obey? What a way just to say, see you next time, because there is more inspiring stories at Family Times in Hope Channel. See you next time.